The Spanish restaurant, music bar, French bistro, and glasswood cafe. Rows of parasol trees contribute to a relaxed ambience, while Instagram-worthy spots are all over the street. What distinguishes and makes known this road are not these aesthetic stores. Here is Wukang Road, a renowned historic street in the Xuhui district of Shanghai, built in 1907. According to the gazetteer of the Xuhui district of Shanghai, the road, originally named Route Faxon in honor of the American missionary John Calvin Faxon, was renamed in 1943 Wukang Road after an old county of Zhejiang province. Wukang Road, lined with plentiful parasol trees, witnesses China's recent 100 years of history. And a number of eminent people's former residences dotted on this road are invested with their life stories and humanistic perspectives. Now, we are going to amble northward along Wukang Road and visit the former residence of Soong Ching-ling, Wukang Mansion, and former residence of Bajing, to take a look at their life experiences and catch a glimpse of their humanistic spirits. In 1943, a Chinese woman went to the United States alone to seek international aid. She made history by delivering a speech in the U.S. Congress with a Southern American accent, in which she recounted Chinese people's valor and bravery in battle. The speech won over the American public. Without doubt, what we are talking about is Soong Meiling, the first Chinese woman to address both houses of the U.S. Congress. When it comes to Soong Meiling, we'll recall not only that marvelous speech, but also her equally outstanding sister, Soong Ching-ling, the wife of Sun Yan-can, as well as the second eldest daughter of Soong family. She was well known for her career, romance, and family. Besides, there has been much debate on her identity as both the widow of Dr. Sen and the rebel of Soong family. Soong Ching-ling's political stance conflicted with her sisters, and later she resolutely broke ties with her family to take the path of revolution. So she has long been labeled as a fanatical fighter for communism. Nevertheless, we actually know little about her except such personae. Growing up in the same environment with her sisters, what rendered her committed to the revolutionary cause? What made her in her prime insist on marrying Sun Yan-can, who was nearly 3 decades her senior, despite objections from her family? What enabled her to carry on the unfinished life work of her deceased husband at the expense of breaking with her family? And what was her real life like behind her international profile of a communist goodness? Let's see whether we can find the answers in this 3-story building, where she lived longest before she departed this life.
There are many dogs of different varieties. Why are so many dogs gathered here? They are kept in the courtyard. Look, that's their dog coat. Totally personally feathers and birds. And the dog was also her husband, Soong Yan's favorite bird. These lovable creatures remained here after she passed away.
The white dog is the symbol of peace.
Exactly. This was what Miss Soong Ching As a witness to the brutal World War II expected the most. She hoped that this messages of peace could bring her best wishes to all corners of the world.
I see. Wow, these three automobiles are of different types, but both have horns.
Yeah, this one is a Chinese-made Hongqi sedan, and the other is a Jim limousine gifted to Miss Soong by Joseph Stalin, especially for leadership.
How come Soong received the gift from the Soviet Union?
She once paid a visit to the Soviet Union to fulfill her husband Song Yanzan's dying wish. In that, Dr. Song had great interest in the then emerging Soviet Union, but unfortunately failed to go there. At that time, the Wuhan national government had been forced to dissolve. Thus, she fled to the Soviet Union to seek asylum, where she received welcome from comrades and commanded more respect and friendship with her own charisma that could be achieved with the identity of the widow of Song Yanzan.
Was she a communist?
No, not exactly. She was more of a revolutionary, a true heir of Sun Yat-sen's three principles of the people, a lot of which coincided with the ethos of the Communist Party of China. And in her own way, she assailed the reactionary forces and begged for the emancipation and welfare of people. And eventually, she proceeded along the path of revolution together with the Chinese Communist Party. All of this accounted for the admission of her into the party.
Was Soong Ching-ling a member of the Communist Party of China?
Yes, it's an honor the party conferred to her in the last year of her life as a mark of reverence. But she wasn't a fanatical fighter for communism or communist goodness as people might imagine. On the contrary, she, um, on the contrary, she had enough political foresight to stand with the people from the beginning.
Yeah.
And she parted company from her siblings' craving for money and power. She took the path of revolution and managed to rescue people from oppression and exploitation.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable achievement that deserves worldwide respect, and that couldn't be weighed against by distinct political stance.
Of course. I see. Soong Ching-ling was such an extraordinary woman revolutionary. Despite opposition from her family, she gave up living in clover and dedicated all her life to striving for the well-being of people. Not so many people could do that. She even lost her unborn baby and beloved husband. Had she forsaken the revolutionary cause, financial support from her family could guarantee her a decent life in a developed country. However, she still opted to persevere the cause. I think Soong Ching-ling, who made so many sacrifices for people and nation, was by any measure a great person.
Yeah.
What a spacious garden! It's close to an open-air conference hall. Wow, and the lawn is also well manicured.
Yeah, that's right. The lawn alone covers over 2,000 square meters, and plenty of welcome parties for foreign visitors were indeed held here.
Yeah,
Also, Song Qingling often invited the visitors to stroll together in the garden to relish the greenery rarely seen in the bustling downtown area.
the shade provided by these trees brings a delightful coolness even in high summer.
The camphor trees cherry-picked by Song Qingling. They are evergreen, dense, and bushy with an insect-repellent aroma.
In fact, Soong Ching-ling has the same qualities with this endearing trait, namely allegiance,
Tenacity?
yeah, and integrity, yeah.
Look at these sunsets. I've never thought that Soong Ching-ling played the piano.
Yes, Miss Song also adores music, and the melody of the piano accompanied her through her life. When she was young, her family gathered around her father, playing the trumpet and humming a country tune learned in America. Her mother playing the piano, and the children learning to sing a song named How Lovely My Family Is. Although she never played the piano in public, she never stopped practicing, even in her 80s.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
This life-size sitting statue, made of white marble, was carved for the 110th anniversary of the birth of Soong Ching-ling. Behind it is a museum where important souvenirs of Miss Song's life are exhibited, including letters between her and her husband, Dr. Soong, manuscripts, photos, and the like.
Is the gun used for self-defense?
If it were only for this purpose, it would be too ordinary. The gun has special meaning for Miss Song. It's a wedding gift given by her husband, and he told her that the first 19 bullets were for the enemy, and the last one should be reserved for herself in case of emergency.
Why did he give me such a scary wedding?
At that time, Song Yanzhen was forced into exile in Japan. On account of the failure of the Second Revolution, and he was preparing the Third Revolution against Yuan Shikai. Thus, he was round-the-clock close surveillance by Tokyo Metropolitan Police. Marrying a revolutionist meant she had to confront a displaced and dangerous life.
Yeah, there's an age gap of more than 20 years between them. So marriage couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, for 22-year-old Song Qinling, with Song Yanzhen, who was as old as her father, was bound to provoke strong opposition from her family. And it's said that in order to dispel her thoughts, they announced immediately her official engagement to a young man of noble birth. But Song Qinling refused to resign herself to the fate. Night fell, she climbed through the window with the help of a maid, and arrived in Kobe by boat that night. The next day, Song Qinling and Song Yanzhen held their wedding.
Wow, her escape under the cover of darkness was much more of Romeo and Juliet. I never thought that the First Lady made such a bold move in pursuit of love in her youth, just like any ordinary girl.
Yeah, and Miss Song had went through the same days of youth, filled with impulse as we have. What's more, she had suffered lots of setbacks and hardships after she got married.
Yeah.
One time, when the couple returned from Japan and engaged in the revolutionary cause in Guangzhou, their residence was besieged. At that time, Madame Song Qinling was pregnant, but she insisted that Song Yanzhen go first for her safety. And of course, Dr. Song was unwilling to leave her behind. And finally, the guards took him away by force. Miss Song fled later under threat of stray bullets. However, unfortunately, This escaped her, ruined her house, causing her to miscarry soon and to lose chance of having a baby forever.
I remember there were many seals displayed in the exhibition hall. What are their origins?
Do you remember a rectangular seal?
Yeah,
It belongs to the International Hospitals for Chinese Wounded Soldiers, set up and charged by Soong Ching-ling for the purpose of treating the soldiers wounded when defending Shanghai at the beginning of the war.
what else did Soong Ching-ling do during the war of resistance against Japanese aggression?
In the height of the war, she founded the China Defense League, welding people holding divergent political stances and nationalities together to transport supplies to the mainland. And in America, there was once an upsurge of collection in the campaign One Bowl of Rice, and which was also launched by Soong Ching-ling. She called on donors to eat one bowl of rice in a restaurant and pay more money. All donations, costs excluded, went towards the anti-Japanese war.
Soong Ching-ling did quite a lot for the nation and people.
Yes, but some describe her as a fanatical red element because of her opposition to the Jiang government. In fact, she never ceased to strive for the realization of the three principles of the people, and she didn't want to be classified arbitrarily into any party. All of her political starting points were for the sake of the well-being of the people, rather than for the benefit of any party or individual.
It turns out that so many stories conceal behind these sales and cultural relics, which embody the efforts she put into the country's development and the people's well-being.
Our visit to the former residence of Soong Ching-ling is nearly finished. After seeing so many important souvenirs, we realized that she had an impressive record of achievements. She was not only a revolutionary warrior, but also a flesh and blood, straightforward, brave, and legendary woman.
Yeah, I used to believe that she was merely a symbol of the revolution, but after today's visit, it appears to me that she was such a gracious and respectful woman.
The three-storied building witnesses the ups and downs in Soong Ching-ling's life and the twists and turns in China's modern history. War, politics, love, and art. The former owner of this house, Soong Ching-ling, was the first lady, but also a young girl who had put herself in danger for love. She was a heroine active on the international stage, as well as a loving mother of thousands of children. She was a forceful woman in politics and a pianist at home at the same time. Our visit to the former residence of Soong Ching-ling comes to an end, along with the retelling of Soong Ching-ling's life story. Along the street, we'll step into the former residence of literature master Ba Jing. Next time, let's explore stories behind it.